We don't really know where we came from or where we're going. That's one of humanity's biggest questions, a mystery that quietly hangs over each of our lives. Have you ever felt, at some point, that deep restlessness, like something inside you is searching for answers the world can't offer? That feeling isn't strange or unusual. On the contrary, it connects you to everyone who's ever stopped at some point in their life to ask, is there something more? You're not here by accident. Maybe you haven't realized it yet, but there's a deeper reason why you found this video right now. Life operates through a hidden intelligence, an invisible web connecting people, places, and events in ways that go beyond our logical understanding. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, meaningful events that connect without any clear explanation, like the universe is sending a sign. And what if this video is exactly one of those signs, carefully placed in your path to wake you up at this very moment? I want you to pause for a second and look around. Notice where you are, feel your breath, realize how everything that exists right now is part of something infinitely greater. You might not fully understand what it is, but you can feel there's some ancient wisdom, something deeply forgotten and asleep inside you, ready to awaken. This video is an invitation to begin a journey of reconnecting with who you truly are. It's a call to explore the essence of the universe and understand that you are part of this great and mysterious cosmic order. You've probably felt that connection before, maybe in a quiet moment, staring at the stars at night or admiring the vastness of the ocean. In those moments, something inside you whispered that everything is connected and that you have a unique role in this invisible web of life. The fact that you're watching this right now is confirmation. You're already ready to take the first step toward a knowledge the great sages have tried to reveal for millennia, a powerful knowledge that can change the way you see the world and yourself. Maybe you've spent a long time looking for answers out there, but the real path starts within you. It's there, in the silence of your soul, that the answers patiently wait for the moment when you're finally ready to hear them. Don't go outside. Return to yourself. Inside, the man dwells the truth. And what if I told you that everything you see around you, absolutely everything, isn't actually still? Look closely at your hands, at the phone or computer you're holding right now. It seems solid, doesn't it? But it's not. Everything in the universe is vibrating, pulsing, constantly moving in a rhythm we can't see. This isn't some mystical idea or just a spiritual belief. This is pure science, proven in labs all over the world. Modern physics has already shown that everything, from the tiniest subatomic particle to the stars and galaxies, is in constant vibration. Nothing stands still, not even for a second. This non-stop movement creates everything we know as reality. When these vibrations slow down in frequency, they start to enter our perception. First come the sounds, which you can hear clearly, from the lowest notes to the highest ones. But what happens when those vibrations get too fast for our ears to hear? They don't disappear, they just transform. At that point, the vibration speeds up even more, becoming visible light to our eyes. First red, then orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. A rainbow of vibrational frequencies right in front of us. And when that vibration goes beyond the visible frequency, it doesn't vanish. It simply moves into a range our senses can no longer directly detect. That's exactly where invisible frequencies begin. X-rays, ultraviolet, gamma rays. Radiation that's passing through your body right now without you noticing. And the most fascinating part of all this is that science only goes so far. It can measure, prove, and test a lot of things. But there's a point where everything turns mysterious. A point where the vibrations get so high they completely escape our current scientific understanding. What might exist beyond that point? Why can't modern science explain it? Maybe it's exactly in this unknown territory that the mystery of the universe truly begins. Maybe that's where science and spirituality finally meet. The universe science doesn't see. Pretty much everything we know today about the universe amounts to only about 1% of what actually exists out there. Yeah, you heard that right. Just 1% of the universe is understood by modern science. And the rest? What about the other 99%? That massive chunk of reality, what scientists call dark matter, remains completely unknown. It's invisible, untouchable, and, so far, totally unexplainable by our current scientific methods. Think about that for a second. Most of the cosmos is made of something that completely escapes our understanding. Something we can't see, touch, or even detect with our most advanced instruments. Science knows this dark matter exists because it can detect its influence on gravity and the structure of the universe. But when scientists try to explain exactly what it is, they simply admit, we don't know. Now, think about this with me. Does something stop existing just because we can't see it or measure it? Do our limited senses define what's real and what's not? Or maybe, just maybe, there's a much deeper reality beyond what we're able to perceive with our 5 senses. This limitation of human perception isn't a mistake or a flaw, but a clear sign that there's way more to be explored beyond what we currently understand. Great mystics, sages, and spiritual seekers have been pointing to this for thousands of years. There's an invisible and powerful reality influencing everything around us, even if we don't clearly notice it. Maybe it's time to expand how we look at the universe and at ourselves. Maybe science is arriving right where spirituality has been for a long time, at the point where the invisible is just as real as everything we can touch. And here's where modern science meets ancient wisdom, the kind that has survived for millennia in different cultures, all saying the exact same thing in different words. It doesn't matter where in the world or in what era you look, there's always a spiritual tradition claiming that the entire universe came from a primordial sound. In Hinduism, for example, everything began with the sacred sound Om, spoken by the god Brahma. The ancient Hindu sages explained that Om wasn't just a simple sound, but a powerful vibration that created everything that exists. That sound is still echoing today, keeping reality in balance and connecting all things in a single divine essence. In ancient Egypt, we find the same truth expressed in a different way. For the Egyptians, the creator god Atum, later identified as Ra, brought the universe into existence through creative thought. But what is thought if not a subtle, silent vibration, an internal sound that comes before any physical manifestation? Here too, creation happens through a primordial vibration, a thought that becomes reality. And if we jump forward a few centuries, we find something similar clearly stated in Christianity. In the Gospel of John, the Bible says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Word, in this context, means sound or vibration. Once again, creation comes from sound, a divine vibration that gave shape and life to everything we know. Notice how these traditions, despite their cultural, historical, and geographical differences, all point to the same idea. The universe came into being through a vibration, an initial frequency that served as a bridge between the invisible and the manifest, between the divine and the earthly. And maybe this is one of the greatest clues the ancient sages left us, that there's a common thread between all traditions, a universal truth that goes beyond religions and personal beliefs. That truth speaks directly to something deep within us, like we're hearing a melody we've known for a long time but somehow forgot. The wisdom hidden in time. It's right here, at the convergence of these ancient traditions, that we find an even deeper and more surprising ancient wisdom: Hermeticism. Maybe you've never heard that name before, but without realizing it, you've probably come into contact with it at some point in your life, because it's the hidden foundation upon which many of our modern sciences, religions, and philosophies were built. Hermeticism isn't a religion. It's something broader and more universal. It's a philosophical and initiatory system built on eternal and universal laws that govern how the universe works. And when we talk about universal laws, we're talking about principles that influence not only spiritual beliefs, but also the birth of chemistry, physics, medicine, astronomy, and even biology. Yes, that's right. A lot of what we now call modern science has deep roots in Hermetic teachings. But who brought this wisdom to us? Who was responsible for teachings so profound that they passed through the barriers of time and made it to this day? The answer is Hermes Trismegistus, a name that literally means Hermes, the thrice great. Hermes was a mysterious and revered figure in ancient Egypt and later in classical Greece. He was considered a master of masters, a sage among sages, someone whose understanding of the universe and the laws that govern existence was so deep it still amazes those who come across his teachings. Hermes Trismegistus wrote thousands of scrolls filled with knowledge about the nature of the universe, but unfortunately, most of that wisdom was lost over time. Still, the surviving texts, like the Corpus Hermeticum and the Emerald Tablet, are still studied by spiritual seekers, philosophers, and even modern scientists trying to better understand the mysteries of reality. Hermeticism teaches us that everything is connected, that what happens in the outer world is a reflection of what happens inside of us, that the universe is mental, and that life operates through precise and universal laws. When properly understood, these laws can show us paths to a more conscious, full, and meaningful life. The wisdom of Hermes is quiet, hidden between the lines of history, but its impact on the world we know is deep and lasting. And maybe now you understand why this knowledge stayed hidden for so long. It can only truly be understood by those who are ready to see beyond the surface. So who was this mysterious man, this sage called Hermes Trismegistus, who left such a deep and lasting mark on human knowledge? Many believe he lived thousands of years ago, somewhere between 1500 and 3000 years before Christ. Some ancient texts say he lived over 300 years, gathering enough wisdom and experience to impress entire generations. Hermes was seen as an extraordinary figure, not just a regular philosopher or a simple spiritual teacher. He was an exceptional alchemist, a deep knower of the secrets of nature and the cosmos, able to understand and teach truths that were far beyond the imagination of the average person of his time. It's no wonder he was called the scribe of the gods, the one who held and recorded sacred and divine wisdom. It's believed that Hermes produced over 20,000 writings filled with vast knowledge on alchemy, astrology, philosophy, and spirituality. Sadly, almost all of those precious texts were lost in the tragic fire at the Library of Alexandria, an irreplaceable loss for humanity. Only 18 works survived the flames and made it to us. Those writings form the famous Corpus Hermeticum, which still fascinates scholars around the world today. Besides those works, his most admired and mysterious creation also survived, the Emerald Tablet. In it, Hermes summed up, in just a few words, deep teachings about the universe and the connection between everything that exists. The Emerald Tablet is so symbolic and valuable that it's influenced spiritual masters, alchemists, and scientists for centuries, reaching us today as one of the most important documents in esoteric history. Over time, different civilizations recognized Hermes under different names, though always with similar traits. In ancient Egypt, he was known as Thoth, the god of wisdom, represented with the head of an ibis, a symbol of intelligence and discernment. In Greece, he was called Hermes, the swift messenger of the gods, the one who moved easily between the worlds of men and the divine. And in Rome, he became Mercury, the fast-moving god who also crossed boundaries between the physical and the spiritual realms. No matter the name, Hermes Trismegistus remains the ultimate symbol of hidden knowledge, the wise one who travels between dimensions, teaching humans the laws that govern both heaven and earth. He's the missing link between humanity and divine wisdom, an invisible guide who continues to inspire all those who dare to question the obvious and seek a deeper understanding of reality. You might be wondering, if this knowledge is so important, so transformative, why has hardly anyone heard of it? Why has something so precious been kept out of reach for most people for so long? The answer is simple and deep at the same time. The truth was never lost, only hidden. From the beginning, Hermetic knowledge was never something meant for the masses, not out of selfishness or elitism, but because it requires a very specific inner preparation. It was carefully protected, passed down only orally, from master to student, always respecting one essential condition. The student had to be ready. This isn't ordinary knowledge, the kind you find in just any book or course. It demands spiritual and emotional maturity, an open heart, and a mind prepared to receive deep truths. That's why initiatory orders were formed, quiet societies created specifically to preserve these teachings. Orders like Freemasonry, the Rosicrucians, and the Knights Templar are clear examples of this silent tradition that has survived through the centuries. Each of these orders has its own methods, but they all share one essential belief. Hermetic knowledge should only be passed on to those who have ears to hear. That expression symbolizes a key wisdom. You only understand what you're truly ready to understand. If the mind hasn't matured yet, if the consciousness isn't prepared, revealing these teachings would be like giving meat to someone who can only digest milk. That metaphor is ancient and powerful. It clearly shows why Hermeticism remained hidden. The idea isn't to keep it secret, but to preserve the integrity and depth of this knowledge. If you've ever tried to explain something deep and complex to someone who's not ready, you know it often leads to confusion or resistance. Spiritual knowledge has to come at the right time, in the right dose, exactly when the seeker is ready. And here's the crucial point. When the student is truly ready, the knowledge always finds its way to them. Whether it's through reading, a spiritual teacher, or even deep moments of meditation, the wisdom naturally reveals itself. It's like there's a higher intelligence guiding each person to what they need to know at exactly the right time, not before, not after. And to help you better understand why this knowledge is protected, I'm going to share a short story with you that illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Once upon a time, there was a very old master who lived in the quiet mountains of a kingdom forgotten by time. People said he knew the secrets of creation, the soul and the stars. Many traveled for days, weeks, even months to find him. Everyone wanted to learn the mysteries. Everyone claimed to be ready. One day, a determined young man arrived, eyes full of ambition and a restless mind. He knelt before the master and said, "Master, I've come from far away. I want to learn everything. I want to know the secrets of the universe. I'm willing to do whatever it takes." The master looked at him calmly. His eyes seemed to see beyond flesh, beyond words. After a long silence, he replied softly, "Very well. First, take care of my garden. Come back to me in a year." The young man widened his eyes, disappointed. He was expecting a secret ritual, a deep teaching, maybe a sacred book hidden among the rocks. But a garden. He felt undervalued. Still, he took a deep breath and accepted. And so, he began tending the garden. At first, he did the tasks mechanically. He watered the plants like he was wasting time. He trimmed the weeds impatiently. He saw no purpose in it. But the days went by. The seasons changed. And slowly, something inside him began to shift too. He started noticing things he used to ignore. The way each flower bloomed in its own time. The silence between birdsongs. The way the wind carried dry leaves without rushing. He learned to wait. He learned to observe. He began to notice cycles, and with that, he started noticing his own inner cycles too. Over the following months, his mind calmed. Anxiety gave way to listening. He began feeling grateful for the little things. Life there, in that garden, started teaching without using words. A year passed. The master, silently, had been watching from a distance. Then he called him back. "Do you still want to know the secrets of the universe?" he asked. "Yes, master. But now, I feel like maybe the universe doesn't need to be understood, just lived." The master smiled. "Now you can hear." "Why?" asked the young man, confused. "Because now, if I show you a star, you won't want to own it. You'll contemplate it. If I tell you a secret, you won't run off to shout it to the world. You'll hold it in your heart. Before, you wanted answers. Now, you seek presence. What I have to give isn't meant to be stored in the mind, but felt by the soul." And then the master began to speak. But what was said that day, no one ever knew, because the real knowledge wasn't passed through words, but through vibration, silence, and a state of consciousness. And the young man, who once sought wisdom to feel powerful, now received wisdom because he was empty enough to welcome it with humility. That's the essence of what we're learning. The truth isn't hidden. It's just waiting for the right moment, because you don't hand over fire to someone still playing with dry straw. True knowledge reveals itself when the seeker no longer just wants to know, but wants to transform. If you've made it this far and you're hearing this now, maybe this is your time. Maybe you're already prepared to understand something that many can't. Maybe you're someone who has ears to hear. And maybe that's exactly why, at the beginning of the last century, in 1908, a book came out that would forever change the way this knowledge would be accessed by future generations. The book was called The Kybalion, and it was published anonymously by authors who identified themselves only as the Three Initiates. To this day, no one knows their exact identities, but that doesn't really matter. What truly matters is the deep and clear message they brought to the world. The Kybalion, the encoded essence. The Kybalion isn't a long book, but it condenses the entire essence of Hermeticism into just a few pages. This book presents 7 universal laws, core principles that govern absolutely everything in the universe. They are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Mentalism is the first and maybe the deepest of these laws. It states that the all is mind, the universe is mental. This means that everything that exists starts first as a thought or an idea. All of reality is born in the mind before it manifests in the physical world. Correspondence says that everything in the universe reflects something greater. You've probably heard the famous phrase, as above, so below. That's exactly it. The macrocosm and the microcosm mirror each other, and what happens in one dimension directly affects all the others. Vibration affirms what modern science has already proven. Everything vibrates, nothing is still. Every object, being, or thought has a specific frequency that directly influences its existence and experience in the world. Polarity teaches that everything has 2 opposite but complementary poles: light and shadow, hot and cold, love and hate. These opposites aren't enemies but different aspects of the same reality. Rhythm shows us that everything happens in cycles. Just like the waves of the ocean rise and fall, life also has a natural rhythm that we need to learn to respect and move with in order to live in balance. Cause and effect is probably the most well-known law. Everything you do has a consequence. Nothing happens by chance. Every action creates a reaction, and you are always the creator of your reality. Finally, the law of gender says that everything has both masculine and feminine energy. It's not about human gender, but about creative, receptive, and active forces that work together to manifest all that exists. Even though it's considered a summary, The Kybalion is a deeply symbolic book, full of hidden keys. Each time you read it, it reveals something new, because as you evolve, your understanding of these laws deepens too. And that's exactly why spiritual wisdom is so different from any other type of knowledge you may have pursued. It doesn't work like regular information you read in a random book and absorb all at once. No, spiritual understanding is a living process, an inner, evolving journey that unfolds as you mature internally. Every time you revisit a deep spiritual teaching, something amazing happens. It reveals itself in a totally new way. Not because the words changed, but because you changed. Your perception matured, your awareness expanded, and the same text that once seemed simple or even confusing now takes on a deeper, clearer, and more transformative meaning. Maybe the best way to understand this is through the metaphor of the onion. Imagine your spiritual growth like peeling an onion layer by layer. Each layer removed is a limiting belief, an old pattern, an illusion you held onto for too long. The deeper you go, the closer you get to the essence of your true nature, your most authentic self. So spiritual knowledge isn't something you just learn and store in your memory. It's something you live, something that grows with you. Every new read, every new dive into these eternal truths brings a fresh discovery about yourself and the universe. Each layer you peel from the onion reveals a new level of awareness, giving you insights that only became possible thanks to your personal development. And the beauty of it all is that this transformation never stops. The deeper you go on this journey, the more your worldview transforms, your actions shift, and your life gains new meaning. Because spiritual wisdom isn't about collecting intellectual knowledge, it's about awakening something deep inside you, revealing your essence, and helping you experience life with more clarity, fullness, and presence. So remember this: spiritual growth is never linear or static. It's alive, dynamic, and follows your own inner rhythm. The more you grow, the more you transform. And the more you transform, the more ready you become to access new layers of this infinite wisdom that lives inside you. And if you've made it this far, breathing in every word, feeling like something inside you has been touched, know this: the true initiation begins now. Because the knowledge doesn't end when the video ends. In fact, this is where it all starts to make sense. This is the moment when you stop being just a viewer and become an active part of the journey. You're not alone. There's an invisible network of seekers who, just like you, feel that there's something beyond the surface. People who are tired of quick answers, empty promises, and paths that only lead back to the same place. People who want to understand life deeply, who want to transform their worldview through inner alchemy, consciousness, and the wisdom of the ancients. As an old Hermetic principle says, the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. If this message found its way to you now, it's because you've already started to hear the call. May Hermes, the thrice great, bless your path just as he has blessed mine. May he guide your steps, open your eyes, and whisper to your heart all that you are ready to remember. And for those who want to go even deeper, I've also included access to the books that go into Hermeticism in more detail. They'll help you dive even further into this powerful knowledge that can transform the way you see the world and yourself. Oh, and if this content made sense to you and you want to help the channel grow and spread this message to more people, there's also a way to contribute directly. Any support makes a difference. That way, we can keep spreading light, consciousness, and wisdom out there. See you in the next video.